my way to the Qollorit'i festival. I look around, and there's huts made out of stone, little tiny places on the tops of hills. There's no wild edibles. Survival here, in a word, is tough, and I gotta keep climbing.
I'm Les Stroud, and I'm in the high Andes of Peru, seeking out the Inca masters of survival.
Before they're gone. Before the past is lost. Before their world vanishes. I can learn their ways.
A South American country that is ecologically diverse, Peru has both the Amazon jungle and the largest mountain range in the world, known as the Andes Cordillera. I'm about to begin one of the most arduous Andean pilgrimages known to man. But before I do, I need to seek permission from Mother Earth to prepare me for the intense experiences to come. The first ceremony is called Watchuma. This is Cucho, an Incan priest. The plant medicine he gives me is gathered from the hills surrounding Machu Picchu, and it's meant to open a conversation with Pachamama, known in North America as Mother Earth. In a metaphysical sense, my mind never leaves. I'm not journeying anywhere. I'm not seeing crazy visions or flying above the ground. But what I do feel is a very strong and very palpable connection to the earth energy like I have never felt before. For 6 long hours, Cucho continues to chant, never ceasing. It overcomes me in my consciousness. That's the only way I can describe this 6-hour-long journey.
The shaman called that very gentle medicine. And it was, but it was very powerful too. And the message is yet to come.
I leave the foothills of the Andes to meet with the high priests of the Q'eros nation. These priests will lead me on a journey to earn the right to become an Ukuku. The Ukukus are the Inkan spiritual warriors, charged with keeping the peace and performing the highest ceremony at the mysterious once-a-year gathering called Qollorit'i. But to become an Ukuku, I've got to climb the ancient passage 90 miles through the high Andes Mountains.
I'm making my way into the heart of the Q'eros nation. Not exactly the lost city of the Inca, but the Q'eros people are a true ancestral lineage to an ancient Inca priesthood. And they're here in the Andes Mountains. For 500 years, they were under the rule of the Spanish. Yet still they maintain their belief system, their culture, their traditions. Perhaps it's because of their isolation here in the Andes Mountains that they've been able to hold on to those traditions, their belief system, and their culture. They're cut off from a lot of society. There's no roads here. It's just a long trek in. It's very important always to be asking for permission. Here, permission is asked of the spirit of the land. Permission is asked of Mother Earth, here called Pachamama. And it's with your own silent prayer, your own silent request for permission to travel through the area safely. Here it's done with the coca leaf. The first blow comes from your mind, the second from your heart, and the third from the strength of your body.
Q'ero secure their physical and spiritual survival by praying to stay in harmony with the nature that surrounds them. The mountains, lakes, clouds, and the sun. My journey is about asking permission of the mountain spirits to become an Ukuku. If I succeed, I'll be the first outsider in history to ever become one. I've made it my own pilgrimage challenge to walk the entire 90 miles to Qollorit'i, of which 85 are uphill. My guide's name is Don Humberto. He's the most revered Inkan high priest, and it's through his ceremonies that the mountain spirits will test me. Tonight, I'll sleep in his home village.
These Andes mountains are powerful and beautiful. You can feel the energy of them when you walk through. You see, the Inca called these mountains apus. Each one has its own name. The flow of power, the flow of energy, is reciprocal. It's not only from the mountains and the water and Pachamama to the Incan people, but it's also them back. In a lot of their ceremonies, they first have to release their own power to the apus, to the mountains, before the power can be released back to them. It truly is a symbiotic relationship between the great mountain spirits, the earth, Pachamama, the water, and the Inca people. They need each other for survival.
The Andes mountain range is the largest mountain range in the world. Trekking like this is all about battling the altitude. Even in the lowest stretches, we're still hiking above 12,000 feet, and altitude sickness is a very real threat.
All right, that's it. It's a good half day of hiking up these mountains with the horses. I mean, you can't get a bad view here. It's absolutely breathtaking. I'm gonna set up camp here and let the horses rest. The biggest issue here, the biggest issue of my entire journey is going to be acclimatizing to the altitude. Altitude sickness itself is extremely debilitating. We've got to take our time, breathe slow, walk slow, and make our way up these magnificent mountains. I'm already sweating. I've been layering down, whereas the horsemen are bundled up, backpacks on their back, hats on, and they're not even breaking a sweat. And I am. I think I heard someone say once, you sweat, you die.
I'm on a 90-mile pilgrimage with Incan high priests through the Andean mountains. And how these people survive up here is starting to become evident in their own high Andes version of animal farming, alpacas and vicuñas.
In the olden days, the Inca would do a special ceremony, and the community would come out and capture the vicuñas. They wouldn't kill them though. They would simply shear them, get the fibers. From that, they would make special robes for the Incan kings. It's still a very protected animal. They were not killed for meat. They're protected then and they're protected now. And unfortunately, they're actually increasing in population, which is good.
A scarf made from vicuña hair can cost $800. This journey is going to take 5 days with some treacherous climbing. Thousands of indigenous Andeans across Peru are also making the pilgrimage towards Qollorit'i, but not this ancient way. They're going by road and trail on the other side. I've been given special access by the high priest to join them on this trek and to become an Ukuku in the process.
Even these areas are not as benign as they look. These little mud, moss bogs can trap an alpaca, trap a horse, and if no one's around to pull them out, they get bogged down in it, they get stuck in it. That's the last day they see. But it's a sad story for the horse or the alpaca, no doubt. This is actually the dry season. When the wet season is here, this is very boggy and the mud's very deep.
Once a horse is dead, a wildcat called a puma and the condors move in for the feast. When the Andean man calls on the apus, they're calling on the great spirits that inhabit each mountaintop. The testing by these apus has begun. Snow, sleet, and icy rain hit our convoy and make the climbing very rough. The horses are getting agitated, and it's not long before one of them gets spooked.
Just had a major blowout with one of the horses. Because actually the horse had all of my camera equipment on it. And it must have slipped down on his belly, but just started freaking out, kicking, jumping, getting everything free off itself, and then took off running into the hills. One of the horsemen's gone after him to catch him.
Hypothermia is always a risk at these altitudes. so making it to our destination in the clouds by nightfall is vital. The Spanish couldn't find a way up here. It was too far to make the journey worth their while. So the Qollo existed up here as legend for nearly 500 years, until an anthropologist found them in the 1950s. It's wondered if he found them, or if they let themselves be found.
This is Qoyllur. They don't really know how old it is. It could be anywhere from 600 to 1,000 years old. It's one of the original Qollo villages. In fact, just up behind me here, Don Umberto is one of the most experienced, most knowledgeable, and most skilled of the high-level priests of these people. And he was born and lived in those ruins right up there. And this is where I'm staying tonight. Qoyllur.
A few stone buildings and a herd of alpaca is all the ancient village of Qoyllur consists of.
You can see they've got interesting little stove set up here, and keep very small fires going. Wood all above it to stay dry. What they do is they head down. The Amazon jungle is only 4 hours away. So they'll head down there, and I don't know, I assume they either trade for wood or they gather wood, bring it back up here, and they can have their fires. Up here, there's just nothing. There's no trees. They've just got grass to burn.
The biggest threat to the Qollo are the puma, who stalk their alpaca herds under the cover of nightfall. We know them in North America as the mountain lion.
All the llamas are being brought in now to protect them overnight from the puma. These alpaca know better. They stay out there on their own. An easy meal for them. This place is spectacular. Rosa is busy cooking dinner, and her whole kitchen is a rock hole in the ground here, which keeps the fire going. It's just her and I and the kids in here tonight, but it's all beautiful stone wall encased in mud, and just all of their belongings hanging all around. This place really is as primitive as it was the day it was built. Anyway, I don't want to bother her too much because a stranger coming in here to stay, and she's busy doing her thing, and I'm talking to a camera. It's got to be weird. I'm just gonna crawl into my alpaca fur bed and call it a night.
Night passes over the Andes Mountains, and I awake to another day in the ancient Inca village of Qoyllur.
It's about 4:30 in the morning, and she's already been up chopping wood and getting breakfast going. It's ridiculously smoky in here, and the dogs have been up all night long barking. I guess they're protecting everybody from puma, but I think they just bark at anything that moves out there.
The Qollo built these stone villages when they fled from their Spanish conquistadors in the 17th century. They brought the alpaca herds with them. If they hadn't, there'd be very few alpaca left today. The Spanish slaughtered most of them.
So that was quick. Corral them all into this whole rock section here, and singled one out, and they've caught him, and they're bringing him down. There he goes. There he goes. He's got one.
To be Andean is to respect all things who live on the earth, and to consider the planet as a mother. So even when killing an alpaca, they make an offering of coca leaves to the appease, to the spirit of the beast itself.
Very, very important that permission is asked and granted for everything they do. Every major activity that goes on, they ask permission for. When they pick out the leaves for asking permission, they've got to pick leaves that are not broken, that are perfect. In this way, they're not only seeking permission, but they're offering back their energy, their life force to Pachamama, so that Pachamama can continue to provide it back to them, forcing some coca leaves into the alpaca's mouth. Same style of kill as with all animals in this manner. Quick cut of the spinal column at the back of the neck, and the animal's dead very quickly. In this case, they're going to gather and keep the blood. The survival of the Quechua people is very much tied into the alpaca. This is everything to them. It's their economy, it's their culture, it's their livelihood, it's their survival. It's tied up in this animal right here. All right, so now begins the chase. We just gotta chase these guys up out of the corral, and they'll make their way out into the hill. And away they go. They'll make their way up into the hills. Puma, they generally hunt at night, so they're off into their little caves or little holes, and these guys are safe again.
With the alpaca herds out for the day, I'll journey with Don Umberto to perform the first of 2 glacial water ceremonies.
All right, well, I'm leaving this tiny village now just for the day. I'm heading up with Don Umberto. We've got a 4-hour hike straight up the mountains, and as you can see, the sun has finally come out enough that it's hot enough that I can have my shirt off. There's my trusty steed. I've named him Snow. He's the only white one in the whole bunch. Look at this place. Words can't describe a place like this. It's truly unreal. This village down in the city of Cusco is known as one of the very mystical places. They talk about it, up in the mountains, a group of descendants from the Inca still live and still carry out the mystical and traditional ways. And this is it right here. This is the mystical village, or one of them. These are the Queros people. Here, the air is so thin. I mean, we're at 15,000 feet, and altitude sickness is a very real, ever-present danger for someone like myself. Comes from lower altitudes. Here, they've grown and adapted to it. They're used to it. It's kind of like, imagine yourself working out. Come on. Working out, jogging, running around really hard, and having a straw taped to your mouth. That's what it's like trying to get oxygen up here. Add to it the fact that I have a stubborn horse and I'm pulling him half the way up the hill. Come on, Snow. It doesn't help.
They tell me in order to become an Ukuku, I have to take part in 2 different water ceremonies. The lakes and the pools in these mountains are formed from sacred glacier ice.
Just walking through the mist. The llama and alpaca fields here. It's all boggy, deep holes. Oh, maybe that's why they call it mystical, because the mist seems to hide everything obvious. And you're left to focus mostly on yourself.
You can see from the man playing the flute that the ceremony starts long before you make it to the final destination.
For the Q'ero people, survival is linked to either the alpaca physically or being in harmony with the earth spiritually. And these ceremonies I'm to perform are meant to not only bring me into harmony with the earth, but to enable me to bring that harmony to others. I'm on a high Andes trek on a journey to become an Inkan spiritual warrior known as an Ukuku, and the mountain spirits are testing me for physical and spiritual survival.
Well, here comes the rain again. Weather changes every hour here. It's a steep climb. This is not going to be easy. Watchuma doesn't necessarily make everything easy.
For my first test, Don Umberto prays to the glacial pond, calling Mother Earth along with the spirits of the mountains to infuse me with their power. The fact that it's raining is actually a good sign, because it means that so far the mountain spirits like who they see. And Don Umberto is carefully watching the signs of nature for acceptance or refusal. The signs for the priests are ever present. Quick flashes of sunshine at exactly the moment the priest is asking for it, followed by driving sleet and biting wind. It's said that the Queros can talk to the elements, converse with them at will, and move the clouds when they need to, just as simply as talking to another human.
It's time to go now.
The ceremony was meant to infuse all the power, all the energy of the appease, the mountains, from around the world, through the priests and into me. Now they've asked that I leave, take my cameras with me. They need to finish the ceremony on their own.
Making my way back to the village of Qoyllur, my body is still freezing cold, and I know I have yet another water ceremony to prepare for. The tests to become an Ukuku are tough, both physically and mentally.
That's a hard trek. The strength to do such a trek is here in these mountains. That's what keeps you going.
After 4 long hours of walking, I make it back to Don Umberto's home village. There isn't a lot of food available up here, and dinner tonight will be boiled potatoes and alpaca meat.
Just sharing some Qollorit'i, and I think some food soon as well.
Right now, it's been raining all day. Beautiful to be in here because with all these bodies, it's nice and warm and dry in here, so great way to end the day.
Yeah, full moon up there. Look at that. Unbelievable. Right now, difficult to see with the cameras, but the whole valley is lit up with the full moon. Another beautiful rock home, rock hut, built probably 500-600 years ago. That's pretty much my dwelling for the night. I think I'm sleeping in the food pantry. This is all potatoes and seeds and nuts, and it's a bit of straw on the floor. And it's a nice big high roof, and it's dry, and it rains a lot here, so that's important.
After a short night's sleep, I'm up at dawn to continue my journey through the mountains to the Qollorit'i festival. Don Umberto is taking me to a glacial lake they believe is possessed by a very powerful feminine spirit called Anusta. I've got to get naked and be infused with the healing power of the lake if I'm going to become an Ukuku.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning, and that glacial lake down there is the site of my next ceremony. It's a cleansing of my energies. Not just my body, but a cleansing of my entire energy at 6 o'clock in the morning.
The water is intensely cold. This is not some polar bear swim that's easily managed after a few beer on a New Year's Day. My fingers and toes have been frostbitten from years of dog sledding in Canada's north, and immersing them here and now will be extremely painful. This experience can be so overwhelming that some initiates have slipped into the cold water and not been able to pull themselves out, drowning in the process. I'm the first outsider to take part in this ceremony. No cameras have filmed or photographed it, or this mountain they call Wamanipa, before. As an Ukuku, I'm to help heal the disharmony between Mother Earth and her people. It's the Inkan warrior's obligation to Pachamama to protect her.
There's so many things about that experience that I could never relate. The feelings that you walk through, the emotions, and the power is unbelievable. Even the pain, too, of the cold.
As I gain the respect of the high priests, I get closer to earning my spot as an Ukuku.
Well, I'm a long way from done yet. It's a hell of a journey. It's like the spirits of the mountains, the appease, Mother Earth, Pachamama, and beats you and breaks you down step by step by step. You're broken down so that when you get to the place for the ceremonies and the initiation, and indeed even the Qollorit'i festival, you're humble. All along the way, whenever the priest is playing the flute, it's because it's a constant request for permission to travel safely through these hills. You know, the mist looms over you, and it's like the spirit
the appease of the mountains. It's like they're always hovering there, and they can make it miserable for you, or they can make it easy and give you safe passage. Traditionally speaking, when the people would do a long journey up a hard hill, when they get to the top, they would leave something to say thank you to the gods, thank you for giving me the strength to get this far, and you leave an offering for that. And that's what I've done here. It would seem that the testing that I went through in the first part of this journey with the wind and the rain and the snow, well, perhaps I passed those tests, because now, in what is the most treacherous part of the journey, the weather is fair and the going is good. The road's treacherous, but taking it slow and easy. Incredible. Today I'll complete my long journey through the high Andes and enter the sacred valley of Sinkara, the back way. In the footsteps of the ancient tradition, with the high priests of the Inka, I've been proving my worth for becoming an Ukuku, a spiritual warrior on behalf of Pachamama, Mother Earth. So you wouldn't think, up here in the high Andes, yet this plant here, oh, if the camera could smell, it smells amazing. So this whole side, they actually call the medicine side of the mountain, is covered with medicinal plants. They come here to collect their medicines. It's important here to come and honor Womanita by splashing my face, drinking from the stream, as I do everywhere around the world. It comes right from that glacier up there. This, it may not look like much on camera. That's a long way up. That's the next pass, that's the high pass. Beyond that pass is Qollorit'i, and that'll be my first glimpse of the festival. That's mostly what it's like. It's a whole series of climbing up, breathing slowly, and then every once in a while, I do like this rapid succession of breathing to try to quickly pump more oxygen into me, because there's not a lot of oxygen this high up. We are on our way up to about 16,000 to get over this pass, maybe more than that actually. But my only method for getting through it with breathing is long stretches and stop, rapid breathing, long stretch, more rapid breathing. It seems to keep me going. It's not easy either way. It's a survival in the Andes Mountains, survival on the way to the Qollorit'i, I can't even talk, Qollorit'i festival. Now, you can call it what you like. When you look over a view like this and know that you've come up from the bottom, no matter what, it's a cleansing experience. You can call it spiritual, you can call it emotional, you can call it physical. One way or another, 140 kilometers, 135 of it are nearly straight uphill. You've gone through a cleansing experience. I'm going to pick up a rock before I get to the top. In this way, it's like you're thanking the spirit of the mountain for giving you the strength to make it all the way to the top. It's a good and respectful practice, no matter where you are on the earth. Oh, this is finally the top of the mountain here. So it's very important that I place my stone here in this pile to show my respect. You have to see this. I'm not sure words can describe it, so here you go. That's incredible. So that's the main festival,
But look down here. A long, snaking stream of people still coming, still arriving. I came up from the other direction, the other side of the mountain, nearly 140 kilometers, mostly uphill, with my teachers, the Andean priests, infusing me with power all along the way. And these people are coming full of faith, full of their own energy, the direct side of the mountain, straight into the Qollorit'i festival. My guide and teacher through all of this, from the Keros Nation, the Andean priest Humberto, is just sitting there, alone, taking it all in. Buenas tardes, Humberto. Mucho Keros? Mucho Keros, no un poquito, mucho Keros.
Don Humberto has taught me everything he can. It's now time for me to join the Ukuku. No one can tell me what to expect because no outsider has ever done it before.
Snow's coming down. Look at it down there. It's just at least doubled its size, if not quadrupled its size. I'm talking about survival as a way of life. Look at this place down here. Come down to it. It's a stone hut. They've scored themselves some blue plastic for the roof. They're way up high here, above the Qollorit'i festival. This isn't where they come for the festival. This is where they live. This is hardcore survival in the high Andes Mountains. Living the dream, living the dream. You know, there's a lot of things you can get at this festival that you need for the festival, for your offerings and all the rest of it. But this one takes the cake here. Oh, sí. ¿Cuánto cuesta?
Estos 5 soles.
5 soles.
Sí.
Donkey, ¿cuánto cuesta?
Estos está 100 soles.
100 soles.
Sí,
100
para
soles.
adorno de la casa.
Ah, sí, okay. Okay. For the low price of 30 bucks, you can have yourself a donkey head. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna buy it and I'm not gonna eat it. No.
In the tradition of the Inka, the Andean people trek yearly to Qollorit'i to pray to the mountain spirit for good health in the coming year, to participate in its magical economy. It's believed that the mountain is a power spot for manifesting the things that you want in your life, to ask for greater material wealth, a car, a bigger house, even a husband or wife.
This area here is the area where people live out their dreams. This is they call it the playing ground. They come here and they build their homes, they have their cars. This is where they hope to manifest their dreams. And there will be hundreds and hundreds of these all around here. The unfortunate byproduct for so many people have to have a place to relieve themselves. And here, it really doesn't exist. As we used to say in camping, watch out for the minefield.
The Andean people don't feel a contradiction between their devotion to Pachamama and their devotion to the Catholic traditions, or any religious traditions. Because they feel they're connected to a divine sacredness that goes beyond symbols.
This is the Qollorit'i festival at night, and dressed differently now. I'm dressed as an Ukuku. These people are the protectors of Pachamama. They are the police of the Qollorit'i festival. They keep everyone in line. They keep everything going proper and safe. They clean up afterwards, but the main thing is to go up on top of the glacier and to spend the night on the glacier. And what used to happen is they would come down with a chunk of ice in their arms. And for whatever reason, some say global warming, they've stopped bringing the ice down. They simply come down at dusk. And the crowd, the entire Qollorit'i festival waits for the Ukukus to come down off the mountain. And that's my mission tonight. I'm going up as an Ukuku.
So, like stuff, I have to get through a very thick crowd to try to get to my group of Ukukus Ukukus. There's nearly 50 groups of Ukukus, each with 5 to 10 Ukukus that go up onto the glacier. I have to find my group in this crowd on my way up there somewhere.
Most of the Ukukus are under 30 years old because this ritual is meant for young men to prove their power and bravery. And above all else, to firmly establish that the young male warrior power is directed in service to the community. Part of my testing will be the painful whipping battles the Ukuku warrior must participate in.
Many of them are here with great faith. They're here to leave their prayers, they're here to leave their dreams. They're here to seek the blessing of Qollorit'i. They're here to touch the holy water. There's a spring here with holy water. And of course to go and see the rock of Jesus, the Christ rock, where it's said that he has left his imprint.
It may be difficult for me to understand, coming from a vastly different culture. But I'm not seeing anything to do with Mother Earth and protecting her. What I am seeing is powerful Spanish Catholicism, deeply religious symbols, a near manic sense of Catholic spiritual power. But the Andean people don't make a distinction between their spiritual practices. They don't care how you pray, just so long as you do. Don Umberto and the high priests are sitting somewhere below at the Stone of Qollour, because that's what the elders do. This show of dancing and celebrating and Catholic worship is for the young. It's for the Ukukus. The Ukukus police the thousands of people who've gathered here, wearing masks to protect their identities. Tonight, my job as an Ukuku will be put to the ultimate test. The shows of dancing and agility eventually will lead to the whipping battles. And at first I'm asked to police them, making sure they don't go too far. Then it's my turn. These whips are real, and the target is the back of the calf. Pain is real too, and sometimes blood can be drawn. The last stage is running the gauntlet.
Now begins the hike up the mountain to the glacier. First thing we have to do is I gotta navigate through all the human feces everywhere. Follow some of the other Ukukus. We're going to meet up at the foot of the glacier and make our way up.
The climb up the mountain is one long procession with thousands of Ukukus climbing 3 different glaciers. And while I struggle hard to catch my breath, they play flutes and laugh and dance, talk in high-pitched voices to conceal their identity. It's no secret that I'm here and climbing the trail. They've seen my face and know I'm the only outsider to ever join the Ukukus and take part in the climb. And they let me begin the grueling, cold, and long hike to the top.
With my guide, we've been waiting. Got to a certain point on the hill. We had to wait a long, long time, long enough to get real cold, real chilled. And I think finally now we're heading up. Here we go.
The tradition is that the Ukukus must go to the highest point they can reach on the glacier and cut the biggest chunk of ice they can carry. This symbolizes their unity with the Apu. They must then carry this chunk of sacred ice back to the villages to be melted down and become holy water for blessings and healings. Global warming has caused this most central part of the ritual to be forbidden. It's taken me 90 miles on foot just to get here, and suddenly there's a problem. 2 men are telling me I can't go any farther. I'm forbidden to make the final pilgrimage to the glacier's edge. After all I've been through to get here, they say it's too secret for me to continue onto the glacier.
So that up there is everyone on the glacier. Can you see them? Yeah. There's the lineup. And I've been denied access. And I don't have a good reason for it. Typical politics. Typical politics, that's all I can say. Big couple of buffoons out there. Not only want me not to get any closer to film, want us to get down and go away, I guess. They're not doing Pachamama very proud today. They're lost. And I'm done.
Just when I think it's all over, they call me back. The mayor's been told about my journey, about the many miles I've walked and tests I've endured. In a sudden change of heart, he gives me a bear hug of welcome. But all of this has cast doubt in my mind about what I'm about to discover. The spirituality of the Inca feels lost. The tradition has been radically altered in the past few years due to global warming. Without cutting the chunks of ice, this part of the ritual, the original meaning of the Ukuku initiation, has been lost. What I've discovered here instead is simple. The youth Catholic baptism, with the tradition of being whipped while looking up at a statue of Christ. How does this ceremony heal the disharmony between humanity and nature? Here on the glacier's edge, I'm asked to kneel before the cross and receive my baptism, a whipping for my sins. I do it, but I don't get it. Where is the connection to Mother Earth? The ritual has been degraded with the forbidding of the cutting of the ice. Now the Ukukus are going more with the Catholic aspects and away from the original intentions. An Ukuku man who entered the mountain in front of me kneeled down in the snow and asked the Lord of Qollorit'i to heal him, as he was almost blind. And he washed his eyes with the snow of Qollorit'i with much faith, saying, "If the doctors can't heal me, I know the Lord of Qollorit'i can do it." That's the attitude of the old days, and that's what's being lost now. I realize Don Humberto's prayers are for his people as much as my own. The remnants of a great Inca civilization are here, but the consciousness does not seem to be. What will the future of the Inca culture be? Can the spiritual lessons taught to me by the Q'ero high priests reharmonize humans with the earth? Can this knowledge lead us beyond survival?